Hello, fam. My name is Rob. I'm an addict. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited to be here today. You know, I'm grateful to wake up this morning in my right mind and not using drugs. Glad to be anywhere in the atmosphere of Narcotics Anonymous or recovery. And I'm also glad to have this opportunity to be here, share my hopes, my strengths, and my experiences. Anybody can do this. Ain't nobody got to be unique to be up here. You know, I could be over there sitting down. I probably will before this weekend is over. But anyway, when they asked me to do something around here, you know, I'm the kind of addict that I got willingness. And I'm just grateful that God gave me the willingness and the courage to share what I got. So anyway, my topic was maintaining balance. It ain't just balance, maintaining it when you get some. So let's understand that now, you know. That's why they put that on the front, maintaining it when you get some. So anyway, I want to read a piece out of the Just for the Day book when we're talking about balancing the scales. It says, we do the same thing in recovery. We sit down with the foundation of our clean time in the 12 steps, and then we attempt to add employment, household responsibilities, friends, sponsees, relationships, meetings, and service in equal weights so that we can scale, the scales can balance. Our first try may throw our personal scales out of killer. We may find that because of our over-involvement in service, we have upset our employees or our families. But when we try to correct this problem by resigning from our NA service altogether, the other side of the scale goes unbalanced. And so just to try to shine a little light on what it's been like for me in the program Narcotics Anonymous, I came in here a very self-centered individual, and I still, some days I have a lot of self-centeredness. I came in here real stubborn, and let me also add that I came in this program, like most of us, real shy and scared and insecure. So when they said I had if I do some service work, it would help my foundation, I know I did a lot of service work in the dope house. So it really wasn't hard for me to get busy doing some service work in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and it also helped me to get to apply principle before personality, because I had a lot of personality problems when I first came in the program. So I got in a relationship in the early stages of my recovery. Like y'all told me don't do, I did it anyway. Because I told you I'm hard-headed too. So I just said, see, a guy dared me to get in a relationship. He told me you're going to be in it 90 days. And I said, I'm going to show him. So I got in one. But nevertheless, the point I'm trying to make to the newer members to understand that you can have a relationship and still recover too. One of the things I said in the book, in the first step, it says, I'm responsible for my recovery. I ain't responsible for my disease, but I'm responsible for the recovery part. And see, after I read that, I said to myself, I'm not going to let nothing come before that, relationship or nothing. And I don't know, my first girlfriend in fellowship was about to go crazy because I was making meetings. And I just refused to stop making meetings to be at home and trying to get some balance in that area. It was kind of difficult because I was thinking I should be at home when I wanted to be at a meeting. And part of that, being so young in the program, I didn't know for sure where I was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? There was times when I thought I would be at home, and hell, I'd be ready to go to a meeting. Now, on one hand, it could have been me running a little bit too, okay, because I didn't want to deal with the responsibility that I had to deal with at the house, because I didn't know what to say in the relationship a lot of times. I didn't know how to deal with the people that was added to the relationship, her kids, and so it was really rough for me in my first year or two, trying to get some balance in that area. But one of the things I can say is that I think I did a really good thing was I kept a sponsor all the time. And I stayed real connected to my sponsor all the time, which I do today. People that know me know I stay real connected to my sponsor today. And I have been doing that. I think 1 year in my program, I went around in the program in denial, pretending as if I had a sponsor. And the reason why I done that because I didn't want to accept the fact that my sponsor had went out my life, and I was trying to believe that he was still in my life, and he really wasn't. So it was difficult. So Teresa just got through reading this part about the higher power. I need to say this too also that they say in the second step that we have to working the process of having a relationship with a higher power and trying to get balance in terms of turning my life over to a higher power, trying to get some balance in that area, and then in being in that relationship, not letting her be my higher power, and trying to separate myself from her, and knowing that if she got a program, she got a higher power too, and me trying to have my higher power and you having a higher power, and it was real difficult. But I think out of all of that, in the 5 years that me and her was together in this program, it was only one time that I really wanted to use. I don't know what it was particular that brought about the urge to want to use that particular Saturday. But I was ready to throw in my chips and give up. But I didn't. And so I say that to say this is that if I don't know anything else, one of the things I have done in the 10 years plus I've been in this program is that I haven't let nobody come between me building this relationship with God to my own understanding. And if I ain't got no balance in no other area, I'm getting some balance in that area. Because I know that's the most important thing to Robert today, because if I plan to stay here, continue to work the principles to the best of my ability, and to grow spiritually, I need to have that balance. So that's my biggest focus today, is getting a better understanding with myself and knowing that the time that I've been here, the process is still coming. Me and my sponsor was just talking about this a couple of days ago, how we hear people say things at the tables and the way they interpret it, how they have let things become okay. In other words, it sounds like when they speaking, they done shut the door on learning. And, when I speak at the table, I always remind myself that I'm still open to be teachable. And that's important for me. Because, like I say, I'm still a self-centered individual. And I don't want to never get too old in this program where I'm not really ready to accept some humility. Because y'all know, we kind of like that. We don't like to be told something that's good for us. We rather run a course, get some pain, then we come in here with our little tails between our legs and be then we stubborn and bullheaded too. We don't want to ask for help. So maintaining some balance in that area. I need to share this here that I'm really in the beginning of my 10 years in January, things looked kind of ugly for me. I wasn't sure where I was going in my program. I wasn't sure. I had a lot of insecurities about myself. And I'm going to share this, is that getting some balance with learning how to pray is important. If you ain't praying, you probably want to start praying. And the reason why I share that is because you have to practice to learn how to pray. And again, our self-centeredness would tell us we all right without the prayer. So I know for me, I have prayed, and I don't know and recall a lot of things I have said in my prayers, but some of my prayers has been answered in terms of me getting some stability and getting back on track with Narcotics Anonymous, because I was really wandering off track when I first came in the program. I guess there was some fear there too, that talking to older members and stuff and asking them what was their 10 years like, and I was hungry for that, and I started asking people questions. So you ask people questions, you get different answers. So anyway, one of the important things that's happening in my life now is the relationship that I'm having with myself, the relationship I'm having with my higher power. I have a relationship with my sponsor. I have a relationship with my woman, and I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids. So my plate is full. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to really make a mess of this. You know what I'm saying? I really don't want to make a mess. I had an opportunity to make a mess of my life in my first years of the program. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm getting older in this program, and I really feel like now, the arm is falling off me now. I just can't play the games I used to play up in Narcotics Anonymous anymore. They're wearing old for me. That don't stop the way I think. Hello? I still have a thinking problem. But I do know today I like my life the way it is right now. It's easier. Things is not going bad in my life. I'm having a good time. I'm just taking my time today. And taking your time in Narcotics Anonymous means a lot. Okay, it really does, because we can wander off course so fast. And then the other part is getting some balance with knowing that I want better for me. I want better, and I strive to make things better in my life. I'm calming down a lot. I'm not as wild as I used to be. I'm just happy about the way my life is right now, and that's being real honest. I'm really genuinely more happy and content that Teresa's in my life today, and she has been a great help to me. You know what I'm saying? And I guess for the most part, we've been a great help. One of the things I need to share too is that you might not know what you're doing in these rooms in Narcotics Anonymous. You just might be not knowing right now. You might not know what God is preparing you to do. But He is. If you stay clean in these rooms, God is preparing you, molding you, and shaping you into somebody that you don't yet maybe not knowing. You know what I'm saying? You don't know we don't know what our journey has got in store for us, and I'm living witness to that. Because a lot of the things that I have talked about, a lot of the things that I have wished for, a lot of things that I have wanted to see, that I have seen through you all, good things that I've seen through you all, it's one day, it's like, I'm sure we all have told ourselves at a quiet time in our lives in the rooms of recovery what we would like to see happen better in our life, and there's some things that's done started to happen in my life that I know once upon a time on my knees I had asked God to see happen, and they just started working. Things have started to happen, and one of the reasons I really believe that is because I've gotten some balance in terms of being more patient, cutting out the chaos, trying to cut out the chaos, removing the chaos, so to speak. I don't want to say cutting out. Let's just use the term removing the chaos from my life. And I give my credit to my sponsor. My sponsees has been in my life, you know what I'm saying, and step study groups is taking place in my life now, and I'm staying plugged in to the most part. I'm gonna say this, and I guess I need to say this, is that I mentioned it a while ago, but I'm gonna repeat it again, is that I'm still not sure where I'm supposed to be. That's getting real honest. I ain't sure what I really want some days. Some days I think I know. And then some days I know I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'm at for real, being real honest. There's a lot of things in terms of, it was talking about, as you keep coming back, one of the things that's going to come up is the reason why they probably picked this title, this topic here, is because you got to look at the scale sooner or later. You got to look at them. You got to look at them, and I just believe that I'm gonna take my scales to the grave. Gonna be doing like this here. I don't believe I'm gonna get it right. You know what I'm saying? it's just a lot. You know, me and my sponsor was talking earlier about separating. I'm not finna give up service work, okay? I know for Robert, I need to do service work. You know, I love my sponsees, but they know that their sponsor, out of 10 years they've been with me, they know that I am not going to put nothing before my service work. On my job, they know that. And I share this with you, man. There's going to be some people in your life, you understand, that's going to criticize and condemn what you're doing. There's some people that ain't going to be happy seeing you do what you do. You know, because a lot of people, after a while, seeing you recover, they're going to want some of this, and they don't know how to go about getting it. And they will try to make it hurt people. And, you know, see, and then that's when I know I got to stand on something. Even on my job, you know, I got people in the department, you know what I'm saying, they give less than a hoot about my recovery. And they show that through their actions. I live alone, and a lot of times, one thing I'm grateful for with Teresa, she know, ain't no need of you talking about coming in between my service work, you know, or either me making meetings, because I know that's my life. I got to make meetings. I have to make meetings, and don't get me wrong now, with 10 years of program, I don't have to make a lot of meetings like I used to, but I make more meetings than I miss. Just put it like that. I make more than I miss. You know, it's a wonderful feeling to go to a meeting and somebody walk up to you and say, "Do you remember me?" I don't know about y'all, but that's better than going to jail hustling and buying an outfit. See, I didn't get that in the dope house. Somebody tap me on the shoulder and say, "You remember me?" They be wanting their money. You know, I be saying you got the wrong person. So that's a lot better than it used to be now. Let's get, you know, so. And it just feels good, man. It just feels good. So, in closing, I just want to say I'm still working hard at. I was going to say it is so important to take a look at your scales. You know what I'm saying? And see, it's one area of my scales that I'm real concerned about, and that's probably one that needs to work on the most, and that's with my relationship with my family, my kids. You know, I can go over here and make a relationship with y'all real fast. It seems like I can make a relationship with your kids faster than I can make one with my own. And then I rationalize, well, the mothers don't want to act right, so, but that's a poor excuse. It don't work either. You know, because I can look at some of y'all sometimes say certain things. Y'all look at me like, say, "Rob, I ain't buying that." See, that's how y'all do me now. You know what I'm saying? I did make a commitment. I know I got a 9-year-old son that I really want to work on balance the scale. I made a commitment to go see him and his teacher in school before I came here, because I didn't want that weighing on me while I was up here. He was supposed to go. His mother took depreciation, him coming up here away from him because of some of his activities in school. So I had to be okay with that. And one of the other things I'm putting on my scale too is accepting the way things is. It's saying the first step, we must accept our life and our addiction just the way it is. That don't change. That don't mean because I got 10 years that something changes. That means every day that I look up, I got to face myself. I got to accept myself for who I am, just for who I am today. And some days my disease stand up with me. When I face myself, my disease face me too. And a lot of days, I want to give up sometimes. I have days, and y'all looking at me like, "Shit, give up. What's that about?" There's days, man, when I'm like out of whack, out of sync. And that's how come I know I kept using drugs, man, because I didn't know how to get no balance in feeling these emotions that I feel. You know, and it talks about that in this book too. It's about getting some balance with your emotions. I'm still a very emotional person. I don't show it all the time. But in my side, you see, I still got character defects. I want to fix something. If you hurting, I don't want to see nobody hurt. I want, what can I do? You know what I'm saying? You know, I want to, what can I do? And a lot of times it ain't got nothing to do with me. You know, I heard somebody saying here that we have to allow people their pain. And that's a hard one for me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Allow people their pain, you know. But that's the best experience. And I think we all understand that living life is just a big experience anyway. You know, when you die, all you're going to take with you is what? Your experiences. That's all. You don't take your car. You don't take none of that. So, anyway, I continue to ask for help in that area and continue to ask y'all to show Robert the way to balance his scales. You know what I'm saying? And most important, the only way y'all going to be able to help Robert balance my scales is by letting y'all in on what's going on in my life. If I shut down and don't keep the door open or keep a shade up where y'all can see in at me, you know what I'm saying, my scales won't never get balanced right, you know. And I know for all of us, we need to keep our shades up, you know what I mean, or a door open so somebody can see in on us. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Robert. Boy, I love that. I love somebody that shares their experience, strength, and hope, and has what I want, you know, and that's it. I love the opportunity to hear. Our next speaker is Teresa. She's looking a little nervous over here. She's going to do jokes, right?
My name's Janice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just got confused there. Okay. Janice Y. Right? That's right.
I'm the only Janice.
I'm looking forward to hearing from Janice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. My name's Janice and I'm an addict.
Hi, Janice.
And yes, very nervous about this. Maintaining balance. For me, to maintain my balance, I have to constantly ask myself that question. You know, where am I getting out of sync? Where am I getting off balance? And constantly keep it in contact with my higher power, because my higher power speaks to me through everything in my life. Twice today I've heard allowing people their pain, thinking maybe that's my lesson for the weekend, you know. Remembering that and taking that home, and where do I need to fit that in my life? There's so many areas to put balance into. One of the first ones that comes to my mind when I think about maintaining balance in my life is when I first got clean. I took a job in my field, whatever that means, but it was a job with a lot of control over other people's lives, and it was a job with a lot of chaos because I'm managing all these people's lives, you know. Thought I was managing their lives, whatever. By the time I left that job, after 2 years, I was so burnt out on trying to control everybody's lives. And I was having a hard time dealing with my own life, much less 16 other people's lives. And realized toward the end of that job that I needed to just let it go. Let them deal with their life, and when they needed me, they'd come see me. And that was something I'd learned from the program, you know, not taking on sponsees and running their lives, or not running other people's lives in the program or service, but yet letting it go, letting it, you know, when they come to me, they'll need me. Or when they need me, they'll come to me. Balance. But that job, too, with the chaos and the illusion of control that I thought I had, was a lot of stress. And it wore me down in so many areas of my life, you know, emotionally and spiritually and physically. I get home at night and couldn't do anything but veg in front of the TV. I couldn't do anything. I didn't feel like going to meetings, didn't feel like talking to my roommate, much less dealing with a relationship with a partner. And no, I didn't want those things. I wouldn't garden. I just hated life because all my energy was in my job. And I realized that I had to give that up. If I was going to have balance in my life with work and my personal life and my relationships in life and my service and my recovery, I had to give up that sort of job that I thought put me up here. And I took on a job that, it took me a while. I gave up that job and then was without a job for several months. It took me a while to find a job that I didn't have a whole lot of control over what went on at my job, and I didn't have to have a lot of control over what went on in my job. It was a whole lot, it is a lot less stressful. It's less pay, but I was willing to make that balance too, to get the balance that I needed in my life. I had to make some sacrifices, give up a few of those things to make that balance, the scale balance. And there are times in that job that I get too stressed out. And I have to remind myself, I don't want the stress. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it, getting myself all worn out over stressing about something. And then I turn back to, no, I took this job because it was easy. I took this job because it was less stressful. And then I turn around and I talk to my higher power and I focus on other things. Where can I bring recovery in? What lessons can I learn here? And there's people in my life, even at my job, that give me lessons every day. They don't know I'm in recovery. They don't know I'm seeking those lessons, but I find those lessons there in all sorts of people. And I was sitting here thinking while Robert was talking, and even in my job, I've balanced my recovery in that there are a few people at my job that know I'm in recovery, and they know I'm working towards certain goals, and I can share that with them. Not everybody at work has to know. Just those few people keeps me on that balance of recovery at work too. Another big thing that, what balance in my life, and what can I talk about that everybody else doesn't already talk about? The relationships. I'm already thinking about the relationships with my children, and I don't have any children. It's like, okay, is there insanity in that, or is that a reasonable thing to do? And I have to work on balance, where it's insane or where it's reasonable. And taking my life lessons to the future of possibly having relationships with my children. But another area of my life that I've been working on balance recently is food. At the end of the day, I try to look back to see what have I eaten today. And if I've eaten a bunch of carbs and I've eaten a bunch of sweets and very few fruits and vegetables, that's not balance. And it's hard to change that habit. It's really hard to change that lifelong habit. There's a lot of habits that have been lifelong that I've worked on, but somehow food seems to be a really hard one, and it seems like it should be so easy, but it's not. It's not. And I've run different ideas through my head on how to maintain that balance, how to work, getting it first and then maintaining it. Keeping logs, or just reminding myself every time I eat, what am I putting in my mouth, or I don't know, writing down the fats and the calorie numbers. And I've never done that. Sometimes I suggest that. I've never done that. But then looking too at that scale is going to get off with what I eat, with my energy level, and how I feel about myself physically. And I'm trying to add exercise into my life. Not just exercise once in a while or diet. I don't use the word diet. I'm trying to make lifetime changes. Right. Just like with my recovery, I'm trying to make lifetime changes. Lifestyle changes, I guess is what I want to say. And so I'm trying to add exercise into that, and that's helping me feel better. And that feeling better helps me maintain the balance of what I eat. Reminding myself I want to be healthy today. Whether it be physically or spiritually with my higher power, or emotionally in relationships. Again, back to that reminding myself. I want to remind myself that I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to change and in creating new habits. Over the last year, I think I've done better to keep in contact with my sponsor. At least it feels like it. I've tried the caller once a week. I have a long-distance relationship with my sponsor, and I've tried the call once a week. Well, I don't do that. And then I tell her, I thought about calling you yesterday, but I didn't do it. And she said, call me when you think about it. And it's like, oh, that makes sense, so I try that. She gives me those things that I never thought of. But maintaining the balance, usually it's balance of excess to not enough. And there's no excess in calling my sponsor too much. There's no excess there. It's either enough, or getting closer to enough, or never enough. But working on that, The other thing I think about is service. And when it first came around, I think I wanted so much to be a part of. It wasn't even about recovery. It was just wanting to be a part of. I wanted to fit in. I wanted people to like me. And I fell in with a group of people, a group of guys that did a lot of service. And so I followed them and I did a lot of service. And I wanted this position and this position. And yeah, I'll do that. And sure, I'll do that. And you need flyers? And I was doing it all. And that got to wear me down. This is too much. And somebody said, we have to step back and allow the newcomers, allow other people positions. If we are taking 4 positions, then they're not open for other people, or they're not open for other people to see that they need those positions filled if we're doing them. Any place there's a void, it will be filled. We get rid of something in our house, it fills up pretty quick, right? That space fills up. I believe that in every aspect of my life. And I believe that with service positions. If we empty them out, and if we leave them alone, somebody will fill them. Somehow that obligation will get filled. I know a big place. I've been wondering about. Okay. The function season has started. The summer camp out season has started, and I'm all about camp outs. I'm everywhere. People in this room that know me, they see me everywhere, all over the state. I'm a function junkie. I am. And, I remember last summer calling my sponsor, and I'd been going through a lot of relationship stuff, and I was living with somebody else because I moved out of where I was living, and I said, I don't have anything to do this weekend. I said, maybe I could go here, maybe I could go there. What's going on there? Maybe I can see you, blah, blah, blah. She says, can you stay home? Just stay home. What am I going to do if I stay home? Just take a lawn chair into the yard, take your literature, and just be. And it was like, oh my God. And after that weekend was over, I'm calling my friends going, I was just being this weekend, It was a great feeling. But I wonder where I'm going to find that this summer, and I look at that balance, is it a horrible thing that I'm a function junkie? I don't think it's horrible, because I'm out finding the message of recovery, But at the same time, when I'm at these groups, these campouts, I can lose myself, and that can be a bad thing. If I'm at home with me, I can lose myself too. As I've heard myself say a lot in the last couple of weeks, I have to turn off the TV and shut the refrigerator, because that's my addiction, watching TV and eating, watch TV and eat, and just be. Turn off the TV, shut the refrigerator, and just be. Be with my cat, be with my flowers, read, pray, call a few people here and there. And I'm thinking I need to schedule that. Already this month, every weekend is full, and a few weekdays are full with various things. They're not all recovery related. I'm not saying recovery is bad, but I think I can be not too much into recovery, but just, like I said, I can lose myself in it. And I have to find that balance too. And I've said for a long time I was a function junkie, and I've spent several years being on that function circuit. And I'm not to a point yet this summer where I'm not scheduled, looking at campouts and going, no, I'm just not going to go that weekend. It's hard for me to say I'm not going to go and just be at home unless there's really nothing going on. So I keep asking myself that question, is this imbalance a problem? And, what can I do to balance it? Maybe it'll be a matter of inviting one person over, for the weekend, somebody else in recovery, and then not going to a function so I don't lose myself in the whole rigmarole of schedules and what are you doing and let's go do this and I mean I want to go canoeing on the lake today. Let's go, you know. And I think those things are wonderful because recovery always comes out in that. But you know, at what point do I lose myself in that? And I'm really good at that. That's part of my addiction is getting away from me. You know, don't look at me. I don't want to look at me. I want to look at you and help you with your problems. That's where I'm good. And I'm so much better at that than I am looking at my own or even listening to somebody else look at me. That's where the pain starts, and that's what I want to avoid. And so I sometimes wonder if coming to these functions doesn't do that for me, avoid the pain that I'd be feeling if I was sitting at home. But I'm feeling really good this weekend. It's been a long time since I could say I was wonderful, and I feel great. I really do. There's a lot of balance out there, guys. We just got to find it. And that's really all I have to say. Thanks.
Bob, I'm there. Thank you, Janice. Excellent. A lot of differences in those two. I like that. I like the covering a lot of different areas. That's neat. Point of business before we go on to open and share. Door open or door closed? Anybody cold or?
Closed.
How many? Who's cold? Who's hot?
Robert's cold.
Okay. There's still got people that warm. Well, who's in balance? Who's in balance? Who feels good?
Door half.
Before we open the floor for sharing, I need to remind everyone that you are being taped. If you wish not to be taped, please let us know, and the tape can be turned off. So I'd like to open the floor for sharing. If you could come up here to share. Mike, as Mike comes, I just want to say, this guy has endured some pain, all right, and I'm glad to see him here. I'd be in bed, I know, or in the hospital, so.
Hi, my name's Mike. I'm an addict. For those of you that don't know, he's referring to yesterday on the way up here, I flipped a motorcycle on the highway and then had another motorcycle roll over the top of me. And but I'm here today, and but what I wanted to share about is this topic of balance. When we was in the chow line today, I shared a story that it has similarities with this topic on balance. And the story, it kind of takes a look at some of the opposites of having a healthy sense of balance can be seen in rigidity and habit. And a few years back, there was this circus act, Highwire Act, the Great Walendas. And it was a whole family of acrobats, and what they specialized in was that tightrope. And one day they strung this wire between two skyscrapers. And the family was out there, and they're going to walk between skyscrapers in this downtown area. And the father of the clan, the expert, he was up on that high wire, and he had learned all of his life that you hold on to that balancing pole. And it became a real entrenched habit with him to hold on to that balancing pole. Well, while he was up there, a gust of wind came along, and he lost his footing. And he lost his footing, and there's thousands of people down looking up at him, and he started to topple. And he kind of went back and forth, and he's holding his balancing pole, and he ended up falling, and he fell to his death. Well, when they reviewed the slow motion film footage, they had seen that he had ample time to drop his balancing pole and grab the wire, and yet he had trained himself. You hold that balancing pole, you hold that balancing pole, and he was incapable of letting that go. And sometimes if you use that same little story with a lot of the things that we in recovery face, we get a rigid way of operating, we fall into a habitual way of seeing the world, and we may be way out of balance and going into some terrible type areas. And if you lack the ability to see that sometimes the best balance in the world is just knowing when to let go of something. You can't let go of something and grab onto something unless it follows in a sequence. And so if you're failing to let go, you're probably not grabbing onto any new ideas, new concepts, or new behaviors. That's all I need to say. Thanks.
I'm Sue, I'm an addict. And I was the other bike who ran into my husband. But feels good to be here. I don't share workshops too much, but I learned a lot about balance, and I think it's all about a process of learning when to let go, learning when to take on, learning when to say no to new opportunities, like be able to process that. And because I certainly know when I've done too much and when I'm doing too much, and that's when I feel very out of balance. The doors are closed, the blinds are pulled. I'm not open to new ideas. I'm not open to anything, and get the hell away from me, and blah blah blah. And I remember when I had about a year and a half clean, and I wanted to go back to school. And a year and a half clean is a long time off of drugs. But I wanted to go back in school, so I jumped into school, going 4 nights a week. And I was still going to a lot of meetings at that time as well, as I still needed them. And going to school 4 nights a week while working a full-time job, I did not have a lot of time to go to meetings. And I got really, really stressed out about that. I was sitting in science class or whatever, and I'm thinking, oh, St. Mark's is going on right now. Oh, I should be at the meeting. Oh, what about this? And what about the Coney Island afternoon? Oh, what about this? And I ended up dropping out of school as a result because I got so freaked out. And I ended up going back to school a couple of, the next year or so, because I got it okay in my mind that it's okay to go to school because that is a healthy thing. It's okay to go to meetings, and maybe I would drop 1 meeting a week or something, but I would always be around support and recovery, and have access to the phone to people in recovery. That you can be a parent, you can go to school, you can go to meetings, you can work a full-time job, you can exercise, you can go on weekends, you can do this and still be okay. And I know that recovery, there's so much going on, there's so many things happening, and people get parts of their life back that they once lost, and we take on a lot. And for me, what it all boils down to is when I start feeling out of balance, and I kind of know, I know when I'm in a bad space and I need some balance, that usually my first source that I always go to is I go to more meetings. I can't stress that enough. I don't believe that I can go to too many meetings. I believe meeting makers make it, that when I start dropping the meetings, especially my regular meetings, that something is going on. And I don't want to be, with multiple years clean, thinking that, well, I got a good life going on. I could start dying down on the meetings, cutting back on the meetings. I don't believe that. I still have a home group. I still keep in touch with my sponsor. I keep in touch with people in the fellowship all the time. It's probably 95% of my life, and then there's my job and stuff, but my recovery comes first. And I believe that if I continue to think like that, then I'll be in balance. And everything else that falls on my plate from there, I feel like I can handle it. I don't know what's going to happen to me tomorrow, but, I can handle it. And that feels good. It feels good to have recovery first, because this is where it all starts for me. And thanks for listening.
Thank We got activity. It's a race.
Well, so many people are a little nervous about getting up here. If I can do it looking like this, anybody can. I do. My name's Mark, and I'm an addict.
Hey, Mark.
I just came from the other lodge, and I was planning on going in for a very wonderful 50-cent 10-minute massage. So I'm plugging that for the kids over there. And I got hoodwinked into the hair salon and
Great thing.
say no more.
Good luck.
Oh, thanks. Balance. I guess what I'm gonna say here, and I don't know how long it's gonna take. I'm trying not to hold everybody hostage, but for me, balance something. I don't know if it was Robert or the girl. It can go from being extremely compulsive to doing extremely nothing. Like I can go from just trying to do too much to being lazy. You know, that's my extremes. And I guess what I'm going to start with is, for me, it's the it starts out with the physical part. I guess what comes to mind the best is I bought a house a few years ago, and people who know me know I've done a lot of work on it, and there's times where I've just totally obsessed. You know, do my work thing for 50 hours, on the weekends spend, 6 hours at work, come home and work till dark on the house, the next day be up early, work till dark, and it will affect my emotional and physical and spiritual health. It'll just wear me down. I think Robert was saying when you have enough on your own plate, and I just thought about that after he said it, it doesn't mean get another plate and fill it up. It means take care of what's on this plate here. Once you can clean that off, forget the second plate. If you take care of this, make a little room if you want on the same plate. But, let's not be grabbing as many plates as possible. But for me, balance is, my job. I work 50 some hours a week. I'm not complaining. I'm very thankful that I like my job. I've been in my trade for about 17 years. Before recovery, I hated my job, and recovery's let me enjoy what I do. I need a little bit of exercise at least every other day. I'm not an exercise junkie. I take walks at lunch. I try and do a little bit more exertive exercise 2 to 3 times a week. I need that balance, in my life, because for me it makes me feel better mentally. I think I've made progress I was doing a few projects here in the past few weeks, and the thought crossed my mind on these flower bids I was making to work till dark again, last Sunday, and I was like, no, I cleaned up, took a shower, ate, and went to a meeting instead. And balance for me is realizing that when I start a project, whatever it is, that if I don't get it done in one day, it's okay. If I don't get it done Saturday and Sunday, that's okay too. I can finish it next weekend. And going about trying to do too much has caused me a lot of problems. And it's okay to get lazy once in a while. I just don't want to obsess on it and be there for a couple months, I don't know. I'm not sure what balance is yet, but I kind of feel like I'm heading in that direction, and that's it. Thanks.
You're next.
I'm Attic. My name's Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Balance. I was listening to the sharing, and I was thinking about balance for me. This is balance right here this weekend. This is balance. This is resting. For the last couple of weeks, it's been real chaotic for me on the job, and I needed this weekend. I'm glad that my sponsor suggested that we come up here, but rest is part of my balance. On my job, part-time job too, but it's stressful. I'm working around a lot of women, a lot of kids, and it gets real chaotic sometimes. But I before I left, I was at a family fun day, and they took my blood pressure. It was 120/88, and one of the supervisors said he don't get stressed out. And I used to share with her, when I leave the job, I go to the gym, I'll work out, I'll sit in the steam room, the sauna, and swim, and the fellowship has taught me that. Rest, take it easy, That plate, try not to pile too much up on that plate, Yeah, I make my meetings. I do my service work. Fellowship with my family. I pray and meditate, all that. And I've been taught that in these rooms right here from y'all. I need to rest. I need to collect myself, and that's so important. Have that peace of mind and that worrying, that worried feeling all the time. And I just look at where'd I get that from? Listening to y'all, listen to another addict share that with me, and that keeps me balanced. That keeps me balanced because I can take on too much and really get stressed out. But I've learned over the years that it's more to life than that. Dealing with the storms in my life that's come up, that balance that I got today helped me do that. Losing a loved one was real devastating, but the balance that I got today helped me get through that. The people in my life, my sponsees, the people at the meetings, the honor sharing, got me through those heart-wrenching times. So it's so important for me to keep a balance in my life. Make my meetings. Got a higher power. I got something to do, and that scale, sometimes it gets heavy on one side, but, I know what to do today, and listen to the suggestions. It's so important, And I was just sitting there thinking, I wouldn't trade this for nothing, The best I ever lived, and keeping those skills balanced. That's all, y'all. I'm just eternally grateful. I don't want to ever lose this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, family. I'm Addict called Howard.
Hi, Howard.
I'm truly grateful to be here. It truly is a blessing just to be back here at this camp. I came to the first one, the second one, the third one. I missed a few of them, and just being back here is just truly a good feeling. Balance, you hit it right on the nail, Robert. For me, was just giving me that itinerary in the program and saying, this is what you're going to do this weekend. That gave me some balance. I don't have to worry about a pager jumping off or a phone call or juggling nothing around, and that was balancing for me just for this weekend. But maintaining on the outside, I have to keep it real simple. I try to keep it as simple as possible. When I first came into the fellowship, I saw professional help, and they gave me a diagram. It was a pie, and the inside of it was a clock. I had to literally look at that pie, that 24 hours, just for one day, what I was going to do. And I try to maintain that even today. There's so much I can do. If I try to do too much, I can get sick too. It'd be real stressful, and I don't function real good under stress. I know that through taking my inventory. So what I try to do is take that diagram and take that pie and maybe 8, 9, 10 hours for work and try to put some family into it, make a meeting, exercise. I try to chart that, I've learned how to do that, in these rooms. That's why I learned how to do it. And through my job today, they send me to classes to learn how to plan stuff for them, And that's what I'm doing. I'm planning, I'm trying to plan on how I'm going to live, just for the day. And I just try to keep it that simple. Sometimes I can plan ahead, But I try to keep it real simple, and it works for me. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Howard.
My name is Teresa, and I'm an addict. And keeping a balance in my life today is staying in the moment, staying in the now. Things go on through the course of my day, and sometimes when so many things are happening and I'm so overwhelmed with everything that's going on, I do a lot of paperwork at my job, And I'll sit there and ask God. I ask God to do for me what I can't do for myself. What has priority gets done, or what needs to be done, whatever that priority is. What I might think that priority is, isn't. But whatever my inner self tells me to do, that's what I do. And when I'm done with that task, then I move on to the next one. And sometimes the next one doesn't get done until the following day. Because it's all about keeping my peace and all about just staying in that moment. And I'm finding that when I allow God to do things for me in my life, He orchestrates things to be done in that divine order of things. I don't have to rush. I don't have to hurry to do anything, for anybody. And so when I do that, I'm not overwhelmed with a lot of things. And each and every day, I'm not concerned about my past. I'm not concerned about the future. I'm here to enjoy this moment. When someone calls me and says, "Hey, Teresa, can you go to lunch?" I'm like, yes. And I put everything down and everything aside, and I'm there with them. I'm there to receive that blessing that they have to offer me and the blessing that I have to give to them. So when I stay in this present moment, and knowing that all the things that I have a son, I have a job, I have bills, I have all of these things, but I know that those things are taken care of. I have to, as they come in the mail, I look at them and I put it aside. And everything gets put aside because God puts it in its proper place for me in my life. I cannot put it in its proper place. And it always gets done. Someone that's on my mind, and I need to call them. It'll just come to my mind at the right psychological moment. I talked to a sister the other morning. I hadn't talked to her in like 6 months. And it was like we had been talking all the time. She said some things to me that was just so, what I needed to hear. And so I just want to stay in the moment and stay in the now. And when I do that, that is my perfect balance, because that is my perfect peace.
Thank you.
I'm Shannon. I'm an addict. Came to this workshop because I need to learn how to maintain balance. God, there so many people said so many profound things this morning I need to hear. I'm addicted to about everything, and right now I'm working 3 jobs, and have no money. That's my way of staying out of relationships. Guess I'm still running from me. The healthiest time I ever have is when I come here, and someone's already said this is the only time I'm real serene for the rest of the year. I get my little fix, and then I'm happy for a few months. First time I came here, I was happy for about first 6-7 months. Got overwhelmed, and I haven't been to a real, fancy convention since I started coming here. I like being me, and I was a convention junkie before I got here, and had to put on my front and, dress up and, dress to the nines, and get here, and we're okay with makeup on our face and hair not combed, and everyone accepts us for who we are here. Now I enjoy running into people from years later and seeing how they're doing, and I remember Robert, first time we got here, he did talk a lot of junk back then. Not that you're growing, or at least my perception is growing. I don't know. I get balanced when I come here, and right now I'm learning how to. That plate they were talking about earlier, mine is like way too full because I think I can handle more, and my God only gives me as much as I can handle, and I kind of add the rest. And I can relate to Janice's talking about the refrigerator and the TV, and I started exercising first time in years, more than just roller skating. I'm a roller skate junkie, and probably roller skate till I can't walk anymore. That's how I get my peace. That's where I get away from everybody. And when I come here, Skip, he's not here this year. I always call this his happy place, and I want to steal that because that's like, I don't know. God blessed me to get here this year. I was not supposed to be here. I'm about to lose my house, about to lose everything, and my brother and some other addicts blessed me to get here so I could be here. And what's funny is today's Saturday, right? Lose track of days. I work third shift, first shift, and second shift. And it kind of balances itself out 7 days a week. So my days get confused. The mortgage company called and said I can pay monthly, so I'm not going to lose that. Everything just kind of worked itself out come Friday before I got here, so I'm not stressed about that now. And I'm just happy to be here, and I just want to get up here because I really need to learn some balance and start journaling again and start doing everything that I say I'm going to do when I leave here, and then I don't do it, and then wonder why my life is stressed. So, thanks for everybody.
Always been at. My name's Ed. What's up, Ed? First, I need to thank my higher power, who I choose to call God, for another day clean and for allowing my feet to hit the ground this morning. And balance for me is pretty easy. It comes pretty easy for me, and I don't mean to brag about that or anything, but it's only through NA that I learned that balance. I didn't learn it out there, and I didn't get the balance of the jails of justice either. We know where that landed us up at. But for me today, I don't create chaos in my life. I don't go around chaos, and I don't take someone else's inventory either. And I don't want to put this. I knew what I was going to say. But balance is pretty cool with me today. It really is. You know, and I stay very positive. I have to. In the last 100 days, I had my last rights read twice to me by a man of the cloth in the hospital. So I shouldn't even be here. And the only reason I'm here is through the prayers of the fellowship with my sponsor and my sponsees at my hospital bedside and my family out in L.A. And but I stay away from negative activities, you know, and negative people. You know, when I was using, I was drawn to that. We all were to negative. That's all we knew was how to be negative, and we enjoyed being negative. And today it's just the opposite for me. You know, it took me a while to get to the balance where I'm at today. But I've been around for 7 years, and in the last 3 to 4 years, my balance has been really good. I can walk a tightrope today. My balance is pretty good. But it isn't because I didn't come in here with an open, you know, closed ears. You know, for the longest time I kept my mouth closed and my ears wide open. And it's only through the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous that I've learned that balance. And I maintain it on a daily basis. I really do. I walk with my higher power and start walking away from them. And I know that's why I get my balance today also. And I love this fellowship. I really do, and I love each and every one of you in here. And I don't even know you, but I love you. All right, thank you.
I'm an addict by the name of Tarina. You know, it's not a whole lot that I have to say, but it's like, I'm like Shannon, I need a lot of balance. I need to be shown how to balance. You know, and I was sitting here thinking, dang, is it just like balancing your checkbook? You know, okay, this is what you have, and this is what you have to do. Sometimes I know things are going to have to be put off until later on. You know, I'm just moving. I've been here almost a year in Indiana, and it's a big difference from where I came from. And, you know, okay, Trina, you can't do this just yet. Well, here's the setup. We're going to go here, 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 you know. And some days I just don't want to be bothered with any of it. You know, I just want to find that rock and crawl right back underneath of it. You know, no matter what, this is where I wanted to be. You know, I wind up getting a job I don't really like. The hours really hinders me from doing the things that I really want to do, because I really want to be involved a lot more than what I've ever been in this program. I don't make a whole lot of meetings. I remember, Janice was talking about turning that TV set off and keeping the refrigerator closed. Sometimes I come in that house and I don't want to be bothered with it. I need some time to think of where am I going and what am I doing, and I'm praying that that's my source of trying to keep things balanced for me. I just went through a situation to where as though I need to go see a doctor. And it's like, I can't afford to. And I'm hunting around trying to find some place I can go that is not going to cost my arm and my leg. Because no matter what, I still have other bills I got to take care of. I got to be able to maintain my ground, where I'm standing, how I'm standing. I don't socialize a whole lot, but I'm allowing other people to get to know me. Something that, I wear a face most of the time, because I want somebody to like me, but lately I have women that calls me and just to find out, what am I doing? Come on, Trina, let's go. Because other times, I don't even want to be bothered, because I'm afraid of the chaos that may come through it. But it's only chaos if I allow it to be. I'm just grateful for being here. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Trina.
Morning, family. My name's Mark. I'm an addict. Balance for me, it goes to thought processes in a lot of ways. I got to start remembering about how I'm thinking. If I'm thinking in terms of, well, I was taught, well, I learned, well, I'm recovered, I'm getting off balance. And what I was taught is how to live right here in these rooms. And I was taught that through 12 steps. So the 12 steps brought me to faith. I didn't have faith when I got here. I didn't have choices when I got here. I had to. So it's funny that I walked into these rooms with my arms wide open and say, please help me. And then when I start receiving that help, I forget all that. And now I'm running it, And that's when my balance starts getting out of whack. When I start thinking that the things that I learned can teach me, or the things that I learned, I kind of forget them. I forget how hurt sometimes I was when I got here. And you get to amends, and you want to make these amends, and you want to make them so bad. And so you go out and you get 2-3 jobs, man, to make up for all this stuff that you screwed up, So what I got to say to myself, and what I got to come and talk to y'all about, is, look, man, it took me a lifetime to get here. I can't fix everything I destroyed in 2 weeks. I can't do it. But what we can teach me is to put one foot in front of the other. And through the process of 12 steps. These steps have taught me how to deal with my past, how to deal with my present, and leave my future alone. That's what they have taught me. And the basic text teaches me that. And every time I pick that book up, I don't care how many times I read it, I want to start underlining another thing that I missed, man. This is a continuing process for me because I will never be cured. And that's where my balance is. I'm about 8 hours from home right now, but I'm home. I'm home. And I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful to be in Indiana, and we're looking forward to seeing y'all all weekend. Thanks.
Right. Thanks.
I'm an addict named Victor. I just wanted to get up here and get on tape. But, and I feel real balanced right now, and it is about maintaining balance, because, I'm glad you talked about the scales, because sometimes my scale's like that, so I need to learn to shift, you know what I'm saying? But then I get uncomfortable, and then I start going back, and there's moments where I'm like this, like right now, and I say, yeah, okay, cool, but see, when I leave here, there's a whole world of chaos out there, and what am I going to do then? Do I act a fool and do I cuss out them people that are pissing me off? You know what I'm saying? Do I get angry at my significant other or my kids or my family because they said the wrong thing? And balance for me comes from inside. How do I want to act? What kind of person do I want to be when just in life? See, I always found I was always a chameleon. I always found some sort of balance. My scale could be like that, and then I learned how to shift, and I learned how to get comfortable, and then I kept going back and forth. And I can still do that today, but I do it in a different way, where it doesn't make me angry, because the things I did back then, when I was like that, and I get pissed off, I cussed you out in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? Or if I didn't cuss you out, I thought about you for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So and to maintain it, and I heard it a lot up here from the people who already shared it. Maintaining balance for me is going to meetings and working on myself and working on the inside. Because see, I like my serenity today. I love my spirituality. I love myself today. I'm able to do that. I'm grateful that I can say that today. Like you said, being reasonably happy. I'm reasonably happy. I'm reasonably content. See, when I was out there using, I just wanted to be normal. See, but I ended up with abnormal people who taught me how to be abnormal, and I thought that was normal. You know what I'm saying? Now I come here with abnormal people who teach me to be normal. And my life is a hell of a lot better. But that's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Victor. There you go. Let's just start pointing out. We've got about 10 minutes. Group hug and a prayer?
Cool. Rock and roll.